The Indian Miss World and the Rage of Muslims of the World. A novel by Dr. A. Ahmed. This book continues the story of the Arab sugar daddy and the beautiful Indian girl, and also the story of the Indian child bride and the old Arab husband. They have been written in English and translated into Arabic by the author Dr. Ahmed. This story resonates with genuine love, strong resilience, and steadfast courage. I invite you to accompany me as I continue narrating the story of the rare, fabulous beauty of the Indian girl, Ifat Khan, and her extremely beautiful mother, Rehana Khan. Before we dive in the tapestry of the story, I would like to remind the reader this novel is narrated in 6 books. Book 1, The Arab Sugar Daddy and the Beautiful Indian Girl. Book 2, The Indian Child Bride and the Old Arab Husband. Book 3, The Indian Miss World and the Rage of Muslims of the World. Book 4, Christina and the Complete Jew. Book 5, The Tears of God, Jews, Blacks, and Muslim Women. And Book 6, The Hidden Life of the Prophet Muhammad. This is an intriguing epic story which exhibits resilience, love, and sacrifice. Book 3. From a Slum Girl to the Queen of the World Beauty. Copyrights. All rights are reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means without the prior written permission of the author, except by a reviewer, who may quote brief passages from a review for printing in a public newspaper, general magazine, school journal, or university article. All characters in this novel are fictional, and any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, is merely coincidental. Chapter 36. The Conspiracy of the Muslim Terrorists. The dictionary defines analepsis as a literary device in the narrative, in which a past event is narrated at a point later than its chronological place in a story. Before we proceed with the miraculous escape of Miss World and her Hindu mother from the Muslim terrorists, we must give a brief analepsis. Aphrodite's short stay at a house in Baroda city made an extraordinarily strong impression on her Hindu auntie Lakshmi Patel. She is impressed by her beauty and the fact that she seems a courteous and loving girl. A bank balance of over 550 crores of Indian rupees, overseas property, and a Miss World crown on her head has only convinced Lakshmi that she will make a perfect daughter-in-law. Not that they are related by blood or anything, she is, after all, adopted. Never mind that she is a Muslim. Miss World has all the monetary and physical assets that make her an ideal Indian bride except for one drawback: she is a Muslim girl. But that one drawback has been ignored due to the other unmatchable worldly qualities. Lakshmi lost no time asking Rani to give her beautiful daughter in marriage to her highly educated son, who is studying medicine at Harvard University in the USA. Rani liked the idea and agreed in principle. She asked for, and they both agreed to, one condition: that both Aphrodite and her nephew, Rahul, must agree to the arranged marriage. She does not believe in the idea of forced arranged marriage, and Aphrodite may object to it, given her past 2 abusive forced marriages with her evil Muslim husbands Sheikh Ahmed and Mahmud Khan. The wise woman Rani, of course, has not talked about Aphrodite's past. It is not as if she has all the time in the world to be telling detailed stories to her sister. There will be plenty of time for that later. Her sister indulges herself in her business and seldom pays attention to worldly events. She just told her that she came to know Aphrodite through her late son, Samir Krishna Khan, who also acted as a leading hero in her first movie. She narrated to her sister how her son fell in love with Aphrodite, which led to his cold-blooded murder by the tyrant of Bollywood Javed Khan. She filled her in on some of her backgrounds and shared that Aphrodite was born to and raised in an Indian Muslim family living in Iran. When Aphrodite disobeyed her strict Muslim parents and joined Bollywood, her Muslim family disowned her. When she became lonely and had no one to take care of her, Rani decided to adopt her as her daughter because her late son used to love her so much. After her marriage, Lakshmi moved away from Bollywood and lost interest in the movie industry. Little did she know that Aphrodite's story was just an abbreviated tale. When they found a quiet moment to open their hearts to Aphrodite, she innocently accepted the idea and promised to marry Rahul Patel when she arrived in the U.S. After Rani and Aphrodite had left for New Delhi, Lakshmi called on the phone her beloved son Rahul in the States and explained what she and her sister had decided for their only children. At any rate, Miss World and her mother arrived in Berlin before the evil Muslim terrorists fixed their savagery upon the innocent Malayali nuns. It was early in the morning when their plane landed at the Berlin Tegel International Airport. They went to a nearby hotel and checked in. The Hindu mother knows that for them to apply for U.S. visas, they need to have a local Berlin address. After a few days in relative peace, life took on a slower pace, and the two began to look for an apartment to rent. Leaving the hotel, the two Indian women made a quick tour of the city to get accustomed to their surroundings and temporary residence. The sight of thousands of traditional women clad in black burqas, and men draped in Arab robes, and having long beards reminded them of the need to keep their guards up. From that point, neither should one step out in public without being veiled and in what is their only protection, black burqas. The risk of Miss World being recognized and retargeted by Muslim terrorists is just too high in Europe too. The wise mother came to the uneasy conclusion that Muslim hardliners are a deadly disease spreading among people who have no natural resistance to them. She now understood that they are mired in what is a worldwide plague, and that terrorism has been the forefront and symptom of the militant Islamic culture for over 1400 years, almost since its inception in the Sahara Desert. Mother and daughter remained held up in their hotel for an uneasy week before they managed to find an apartment in an area mainly inhabited by whites. The rent is exceedingly high, but the mother preferred to pay for the relative security than to opt for a more reasonable unit in an area teeming with Muslim immigrants from Turkey, Middle East, and North Africa. After receiving their keys, Rani and Aphrodite made their way to the American embassy in Berlin. German efficiency must be not infectious because they have been given their application forms almost immediately. The wise mother reminded her daughter to apply as a businesswoman who would like to start an import-export business between the nations of India and America. At this time, Aphrodite Krishnakan has over $100 million in her account, something that is definitely to her advantage. Accordingly, instead of the projected 6 months, the fugitive Indian women Rani and Aphrodite completed the U.S. immigration process in 2 months. The process has been accelerated by Aphrodite's choice for a businesswoman visa. She attached a copy of her Swiss bank account in Zurich to her visa application to prove financial independence. The phone call from the embassy to the bank confirming the quick issue of their visas marked the happiest moment of their lives. As instructed, they made their way to the embassy to fulfill yet another immigration requirement, complete medical examinations. When they reached the embassy, they obtained the needed forms from the bursar. They are told that the issue of their visas depends on the results of their medical examinations. They are also told that their visas are contingent on police clearance, pending a report from Mumbai police. Then the mother and daughter went to a medical doctor sanctioned by the American embassy. The medical results have been received after 2 weeks by the medical team at the embassy. With OK police clearance from Mumbai and an official clean bill of health, their immigration visas have been finally issued. With their visas in hand, the mother and daughter approached the nearest airline office and booked their flight. Their trip to the United States of America has been scheduled to take place 11 days after the issuance of their visas. Rani decided to fly with her daughter to Cambridge University in Massachusetts, where her sister's son, Rahul Patel, is studying medicine. She decided to surprise him and start making arrangements for his happy marriage to her extremely beautiful daughter as soon as possible. She and her elder sister had agreed that if both Rahul and Aphrodite consented, then the wedding should be held immediately. Lakshmi Patel, of course, has to fly over from India to the States if and when the marriage should take place. This time around, Rani Krishna has decided not to phone her sister to inform her about their immigration status. She wants to surprise her too. She wants to let her nephew be the one to break the good news to his mother and announce his decision to accept the arranged marriage and her daughter's Kabul. She continued making plans, and somewhere beyond the Atlantic Ocean, she decided to bunk in with her nephew in his apartment with her daughter until they could find a nice apartment in a Muslim-free neighborhood. Rani bought beautiful gifts for her nephew and decided to let Aphrodite take the credit. When only 3 days remained for Rani and Aphrodite to fly to their safe sanctuary, something unexpected happened. It is early in the morning when their apartment has been raided by the German police. It is on the day they have planned to take their last tour of the city. The plan has been hindered by 3 policewomen and 2 policemen blocking their doorway. The happy mother opened the door. For the last couple of months, they have not received even one guest. The Hindu woman Rani opened the door thinking that it was merely someone who needed directions to a place he was looking for. Aphrodite is taking her morning shower in the bathroom. She woke up late from all last night's shopping. The Berlin police asked for an Indian woman by the name of Rani Krishna. The mother responded to them saying, "I am Rani Krishna. Ma'am, we need you to come with us to the police headquarters. We have a warrant for your detention." "What have I done?" "All will be explained at police headquarters. Please cooperate immediately, or we will have to forcibly arrest you." While the police officers are talking to Rani, her daughter Aphrodite overhears the stern exchange and comes running out of the bathroom. She did not understand what they had said to Rani, but she knew they were police officers. She saw the German police in their uniforms many times, and hence recognized them when they showed up at their apartment. Therefore, Aphrodite began to shake and sweat. She remembered the terrorists who caused them to flee out of India. She thought that somehow there was a connection between the police officers and the terrorists who wanted to kill her in India. Rani perceived the indescribable fear in the face of Aphrodite, and hence talked to her in Hindi, and assured her that there was some misunderstanding. Then she told her to quickly put on her dress and come with her to the police station. The loving mother does not like to leave her beloved daughter alone for a second. Aphrodite does not have the coping skills to deal with both the situation at hand and their long-standing problem with the terrorists. Anyway, the Hindu woman expected to clear up the misunderstanding soon and return with her daughter to their apartment and continue their preparations for their soon departure. Neither one of them could have anticipated the events of that day. At the police headquarters, the German police told Rani that she was accused of murdering her sister Lakshmi Patel in Baroda, India. Rani froze, unable to digest the fact that her sister had been murdered. The German police officer went over the details of how her sister was beaten, raped, and murdered in her mansion, and all her guards and dogs were killed too. According to the German police authority, the arrested suspects confessed that they were hired to do the job by an Indian woman called Rani Krishna. The motive of the killing is a robbery of the late woman's wealth, money and gold. Known to be missing are her jewelry and many costly household items. The suspects alleged that the valuables were given to Rani Krishna. The suspects also admitted to receiving a large amount of money from Rani upon completion of the murder and robbery. It is the Muslim terrorists of the devil incarnate Dawood Ibrahim who supplied information on the sister location which led to her capture. As far as the Baroda police are concerned, they mentioned in their report Rani Krishna had fled with an undisclosed amount of valuable property, headed to New Delhi, and then flew to Berlin to lay low, pending her escape to America. That day, Rani pleaded with the German police, but they did not seem to heed her words of innocence. Aphrodite Khan has lost in all the upheaval, cried her heart out, and begged the German police to let her mother go, but they have not given her words and tears any consideration too. They simply told Aphrodite that she was free to go. Her name is not mentioned in the Indian police report that was sent to them. Her suspected mother, on the other hand, has to be extradited to India by Interpol at the earliest convenience. Aphrodite continued to beg for her mother's release. Ronnie herself is silent, knowing that the net of the conspiracy is closing in on her, cast by Dawood Ibrahim's terrorists and the corrupt Indian police. Ronnie Krishna, her mind still working like clockwork, realized that her adversaries were expecting both mother and daughter to be shipped back to India. Turning to face Aphrodite, she spoke clearly and firmly in Hindi, and in a tone that told her daughter to listen carefully and not interrupt. Aphrodite is to carry on with the plan of escape to the States. Once she had been cleared of the false charges, she promised to join her in the U.S. She reminded Aphrodite that she was to locate her cousin, Rahul Patel, and stay with him. The wise Indian mother glanced around, wanting to make sure that none of the Germans in the room understood what she was about to say further to her daughter. Then the detained Hindu mother Ronnie Krishna told her adopted Muslim daughter Aphrodite Khan that her name, from this point on, is to be Amrita Khan, and never to reveal her identity as Miss World to anyone or let any human being know that she has millions of dollars in her foreign bank account. Therefore, Amrita Khan has firmly been instructed that she should neither reveal her true identity nor should she remove her Islamic burqa, or show her face to any mortal being until her mother has been released and joined her in the USA. Chapter 37. The Unwanted Smelly Burqa Girl. The son of the late Indian woman Lakshmi Patel has been living in the USA for 3 years, having come from his native country of India on a student visa. Rahul Patel is accepted to the medical program at Harvard University and in the process, has also come to love the American way of life. He has a white girlfriend. She is his classmate, and they share an apartment. They are common law partners, but where he came from, they would be considered unlawful partners by society as well as the Indian law. Rahul promised to marry his white girlfriend after he received his medical degree. At least, that is what his girlfriend wanted to hear. Therefore, he knows his Indian background will not allow him to go against the will of his Hindu mother. Rare is the Indian mother who may accept a white, promiscuous girl as her daughter-in-law. In the elaborate scheme of things, Indian boys must adhere to, and Rahul must heed his mother's wishes, and marry the right kind of Indian girl. This, of course, he has never discussed with his white girlfriend. To him, she is just a fling and a conjugal partner. His girlfriend, on the other hand, is taking the relationship seriously. Rahul had previously not agreed to the matchmaking marriage proposal of his mother Lakshmi and his auntie Rani. He reserved the right to see and talk to the girl in question. He had recently been informed by his mother that his auntie and her daughter are planning to come to the USA very soon, and that he would have to decide before long. Much as he does not like being forced into deciding, he has already agreed in principle. Besides, if his mother's taste and her critical eyes are anything to go by, this Indian girl that has met with her favor must have already been carefully scrutinized and her beauty matchless. In his heart of hearts, he knows that he must accept his family's choice for his future Indian bride. Rahul's white girlfriend, Emily, is a naturalized American citizen born to German parents. Emilia Vagdvariestas spent her whole life in the continental United States. Her parents are Christians, but when she grew up, Emily became an atheist. She is 24-year-old, and her Indian boyfriend is 23 years, and they have been living together for over a year. So far, the common understanding is that they should both put marriage and children on hold until they finish medical school and are gainfully employed. For the time being, Emily lives off her student loans while Rahul is financed by his rich mother. Rahul played his part as a domestic partner well, to the point where Emily does not doubt in her mind this is the man that is going to be her future husband. In his case, apart from her warm body in his bed, he is just looking for a girlfriend to share the rent and expenses with him. For 15 months, the love affair plodded along without a hitch. One particular afternoon, a female visitor showed up in front of their apartment. She is a young immigrant in a black burqa, which left them both wondering as to her origin and her purpose in visiting. Emily suspected she is a Paki, but Rahul corrected her. He said she spoke fluent Hindi to the Pakistani cab driver when she arrived. They settled at the conclusion that she had come to the wrong address by mere chance. The Indian boy Rahul decided to find out, and so talked to her in Hindi, and asked her who she is, and what she wanted. She told him that she came from Germany, and she wanted to meet Mr. Rahul Patel from Baroda, India. Rahul is confused. A burqa-clad girl from Germany is looking for him by mentioning his full name. He shared his mother's disdain and hatred for Muslims, regardless of age, gender, race, and country of origin. He too held all Muslims responsible for murdering his father in a cold-blooded massacre at the Mumbai Taj Mahal Hotel. This burqa girl is not making it easy for him to be polite and civil. When she claimed that she had come from Germany to meet him personally, he looked at her with a big question mark on his face. He even looked at his girlfriend and sought her explanation. Emily lifted her hands and shoulders, looking equally baffled. Who gave you my name and address, and how did you come to know about me? I am a Hindu. I don't have any Muslims in my family. I don't have Muslim friends in India, or even in America. Your mother, Lakshmi Patel, had given us your address in America, and asked us to visit you. Who is us? You mean there are other people with you? I mean my mother and me. Your mother? Who is your mother and where is she? My mother was arrested by the German police just 3 days before we were supposed to fly here. Listen, girl. Maybe my mother has given both of you my name and address and asked you to visit me when you arrive in the States. However, let me make this noticeably clear to you. I do not want anything to do with Muslims. I do not want to know why your mother was arrested in Germany, and I don't want to know who you are, or what your name is. I suggest that you go back to your Muslim relatives and don't ever come here again. I have no relatives. I don't know anyone in America. You mean to tell me that you have come directly from the airport to my apartment? Yes. Holy cow. What happened, darling? Asked Emily curiously when she heard the vehemence in her boyfriend's voice. This Muslim girl has said that she has come from Germany to the States to stay with me. That can't be possible. Who she is and where is her family? She said she has no relatives in the States, and that her mother was arrested by the German police officers. Holy shit. Is she some kind of a Muslim terrorist? You never know. I don't care who she is, I just want her to go away. Why don't we just refer her to social services? She sounds somewhat ignorant and dumb. I do not think she knows what social service is anyway. I am going to tell her to go wherever she wants. I just want her to get the hell out of here. I do not want to see her in her ugly demeaning black burqa in front of our apartment again. I am incredibly angry with my mother. I have told her 100 times not to give my address to any fucking Indian coming to the States. Once she gave my address to a Hindu guy who came and stayed with me for 6 months without spending a single dollar to help pay rent or food. I had to kick him literally out on the streets to get rid of him. Worse, my Hindu mother knows how much I despise Muslims. I don't know why she would give my name and address to this fucking burqa girl. Okay, my dear boyfriend Rahul, let us just take her inside, and then we can call social services to deal with her. We are not running a halfway house or a soup kitchen. If social services say this is not within their jurisdiction, then we can just refer her to the Muslim community. There are plenty of mosques in town, we can drop her off at any of them. Yeah, that's a good idea. You know, I am just going to call my mother the moment we get rid of this stupid Masla girl. I am going to change my address and phone number, and she will just have to write and call me care of the university. After Rahul and Emily decided what to do with the unwanted female guest, they asked her to come inside. As they made their way across the threshold, the Pakistani cab driver honked and yelled at her in Hindi, asking her to pay her fare. She stared at him, wondering what all the commotion was about. Rahul noticed her indifference and approached the cabbie, asking him in Hindi what the trouble was. The cabbie told him that his fare was penniless, and had not been paid by the female passenger that he had brought her from the airport. Rahul took a moment to speak with his girlfriend and then paid off the cab driver. Inside their apartment, the two lovers served a soda to their unwanted smelly girl who was in a burqa. They have not asked if she had her lunch on the plane or whether she was hungry. After that, Emily brought the phone book and searched for the local social service office number. When she found the number, she asked Rahul to make the call and report the case of the intruding Muslim girl who came to his apartment. The social service office told Rahul that they can only take care of refugee immigrants who have been brought by the American government for resettlement in the USA. Those situations are dealt with at the airport, where their representatives will arrange for transfers to various refugee shelters or pre-arranged housing. A quick computer check told social services that the girl in question does not flag any lists on their computer, and she is not shown to be an alien resident. They ended the conversation by telling Rahul that they could do nothing for their Indian female guest. Rahul is incensed by the response of the representative and tells them that he is a student living on a limited budget, provided for by his widowed mother in India. When he failed to get any sort of positive response from social services, Rahul suggested that they just ask her to leave immediately and never return to their apartment. However, Emily intervened and pleaded with him to let her stay for a day or two until they could find some charitable Muslim community outreach program to take her in. Against his wish, Rahul agreed to keep the burqa girl in his apartment. He told his girlfriend that they should try to know more about their unwanted female visitor before they allowed her to stay in their apartment. He is scared that she might have been faking her situation, and is suspicious she might have some kind of terrorist link. So he tried to get to know more about her. She has already told them that her name is Amrita Khan. Then they asked her to tell them why her mother was arrested by the German police. She said that her mother is falsely accused by the police of killing her sister in India and robbing her of jewelry and other costly things. Her answer does not make any sense to them. Instead, it frightened them. They decided not to ask her any further questions. While Rahul has a problem with all Muslims in the world, his white girlfriend has an issue with all immigrants from the third world. The girl Emily believes that immigrants from Asia and Africa are backward, uncivilized, lack good manners, and are unhygienic people. She also believes that their clothes have a foul odor, and they eat smelly food too. For that reason, she convinced her boyfriend not to allow Amrita Khan to sleep in their apartment. Their apartment has 2 bedrooms and a living room. Nevertheless, Amrita Khan is forced to sleep in their small garage. It was during the summer season when Amrita came to stay with them. The unrelenting heat kept her awake for a long period, and the insects feasted on her flesh throughout the night. There is no fan in the garage. Even during her captivity in the mansions of her 2 evil captors, Amrita was never forced to sleep in a place made for keeping cars. There are 2 cars in the garage. Amrita had been given a blanket and a pillow and nothing else. She slept in a small corner in the hot garage. Worse than that, the unwanted burqa girl happens to be starving to death. She has some candies and cookies in her big bag, but she does not know where her hosts have stored her luggage. If the 2 lovers had asked Amrita to sleep inside their bathroom, that might have been more bearable than making her spend the night in their garage. Emily has a small pet dog. The small dog sleeps comfortably all alone in the 2nd bedroom. Worse of all, they had not given her anything to eat. The last meal Amrita ate was somewhere in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean between the European continent and the North American continent. Moreover, she is not offered the use of the shower, or an opportunity to change her clothes and put on her nightie. She has not used the toilet since the time she came in. She does not even know where the bathroom is located. Chapter 38. Emily believes her dog is better than the burqa-clad girl. The Indian Muslim girl Amrita Khan is a product of her upbringing. While she is genuinely a sweet and friendly girl, she has been taught to treat others with suspicion and is slow to trust. Her Hindu mother Rani Krishna had told her to travel incognito and hide her identity. She followed her mother's instructions to the letter and more. How is she to know she does not need to hide her identity from her male cousin, who is the son of her Hindu auntie Lakshmi? The Hindu mom Rani did not order her adorable, adopted Muslim daughter not to spend any money. Since leaving Germany, Amrita did not spend one single dollar. She has $65,000 in cash stacked inside her luggage. Besides that, she has over $100 million in her overseas bank account. In keeping with the spirit of her mother's instructions, Amrita Khan remained swathed in her black burqa and agreed to sleep in the garage. Sleep did not come easy on the hard hot concrete floor, and the hunger pangs reminded her of her need to eat and drink. Holding up in oppressive burial clothes is more uncomfortable than the torment of the mosquitoes and other bloodsuckers. Her hosts have not thought of providing her with a mattress or a table fan. It was well past midnight before Amrita gave in to her physical discomforts and allowed her fatigue to pull her into an uneasy sleep. The heat of the following day and the hot sun rays forced Amrita to awaken from her deep sleep. She woke up with a terrible headache and a strong feeling of nausea. She wants to vomit, but her stomach has nothing to throw up. She is feeling feverish. She got up and wobbled her way into the apartment. She has not found anyone in the apartment. She lifted her voice and called out Rahul's name several times, but no one responded. She realized that her cousin and his wife had already left the house and gone to school. Amrita naturally assumed that a man and a woman living together under the same roof are either married or related by blood as a brother and his sister. Since her male cousin's girlfriend is a white girl, Amrita knows that she is not an Indian, and hence she is not related to Rahul except through a matrimonial relationship. Her empty stomach forced her to look around the apartment in search of anything edible to quench the pangs of her hunger. She began her search in one of the rooms, starting with the dog's bedroom. The dog is not there because its female owner has taken it to its babysitter or dog sitter, or whatever the hell they called it. Amrita found some leftovers from the dog's breakfast and consumed them. She even took some drinkable tasty liquid from its vessel and drank it too. It was not enough to satisfy her thirst, and hence she licked the vessel with her tongue and lips. She searched in the dog's room for more food and more juice to drink, but she did not find anything. She is so hungry that she can eat anything even if she finds crumbs of food in the garbage can. Therefore, she left the dog's bedroom and entered the bedroom of the two lovers. Luckily, in the lover's room, she found a half-drunk can of beer and finished it. Then she looked around and found 2 glasses half filled with red liquid. She picked up one of them and began to drink it. The bitter taste forced her to stop halfway. Her thirst forced her to finish it. After that, she picked up the other cup and drank it too. After that, she saw a half bottle with red liquid in it. She lifted it and looked at it for a while. Not knowing what it was, she began to drink it. It had the same bitter taste, but she decided to finish it too. After that, the unwanted female guest left the lover's bedroom and went into the living room. Then she found a half-consumed sandwich in the garbage can, and she devoured it too. Finally, she sat on the comfortable couch and began to stare blankly at the huge TV screen in front of her. The TV is switched off. She began to feel everything around her moving, severely affected by the alcohol she had just ingested. This time, she extended her long legs to the length of the sofa, and laid her body to rest on the comfortable couch. The air-conditioned living room made her feel very sleepy. She wished that her cousin and his wife would have allowed her to sleep in the living room instead of the hot garage. The comfort of the big leather couch, the air-conditioned living room, and the alcohol she drank rid Amrita of her head and body ache she had sustained throughout the night, along with the effects of the heat and the torture of insect bites. The dog food and the garbage sandwich she has gulped down are enough to satisfy her hunger. She is now fully satiated but inebriated. She began to sweat despite the chill of the well-air-conditioned apartment, giving in to the seductive comfort of her surroundings. She tossed off her burqa and stretched out in her salwar kameez. She tried to stay awake, but she could not. She soon fell asleep and immediately began to snore so loud that she could be heard by the neighbors. Meanwhile, Rahul and Emily, after finishing their classes, went to a nearby mosque and reported the case of the homeless Muslim girl who came to their apartment last evening and asked for help. Rahul informed the Imam that he is Hindu and has no relationship with the Muslim girl. He also presented his girlfriend as born to a Roman Catholic family, but she does not believe in God. Consequently, he requested the Imam to send some people from the mosque to his apartment to see about the homeless girl and provide shelter for her. The Imam told him that the mosque was not a place for homeless women. He told him to advise the homeless Muslim girl to approach social services for help. Rahul said he had tried that, only to have social services tell him that they were unable to help. The Imam said to him the mosque can do nothing in this case. He also told him that the mosque has no funds to provide help and shelter for Muslims with problems like this. Despite that, the Imam admitted that the mosque occasionally offers temporary shelter for Muslim men who have no place to stay. But in no uncertain terms, a Muslim woman cannot be allowed to sleep inside the mosque no matter what her circumstances may be. Then the Hindu boyfriend and his atheist girlfriend wanted to know why the mosque discriminates between Muslim men and Muslim women. But the Imam told them that it was none of their business, and tried to kick them out of the sacred ground of his office. The mosque's Imam is a Pakistani man, and very unfriendly and mean. When the two lovers told him they did not like his unfriendly attitude, he said to them, then take your unwanted Indian burqa girl to sleep in either a Hindu temple or a Christian church. Then he threatened to call the cops on them if they did not leave. When the Islamic mosque refused to help and its Imam kicked them out, the white girlfriend Emily agreed with her Indian boyfriend Rahul that it was high time to kick the Muslim burqa girl out of their apartment into the streets. She said that, if she refused to go, they should immediately call the cops on her. Rahul concurred, driven more by the fact that he simply does not wish to spend money keeping a Muslim girl as a parasite in their garage. As soon as the two lovers arrive at their apartment, they are surprised to find their unwanted female guest sleeping in their living room instead of their garage. She is lying on her back with her black burqa on the floor. She is in her salwar and kameez with her legs exposed bare to the knees. One of her legs is stretched out over the back of the couch, and the other is bent at the knee. Both lovers are struck by her marvelous beauty. They had not seen her face before that time. She appeared to Rahul like a princess in a fairy tale. He could not believe that a human being could be so beautiful. Staring at her, he is convinced that her face far outshone that of Aishwarya Rai of Bollywood, and her sexy body surpassed the body of the Indian former Miss World Priyanka Chopra. She is even more beautiful than the Egyptian queen Cleopatra, and the goddess Aphrodite of Greek mythology. They all would just have to be content with second place compared to this new vision of loveliness. He did not even remember he had seen a Miss World that was exceedingly lovely and sexy as this burqa-clad Muslim girl. The more time Rahul spent admiring the sleeping beauty laid out before him, the more sexually aroused he became. His white girlfriend Emily, on the other hand, began to see a threat and lost her temper. She rushed to the sleeping form of a young woman and dragged her off their couch. Amrita Khan fell off the couch with a thud, and woke up thinking she was in the grip of a horrifying nightmare. As the face of the angry white girl slowly came into focus, she put two and two together. She stood up quickly and looked blankly at the angry American girl. She does not understand why she has been assaulted. Emily is screaming in her face and yelling at her in English. Amrita could not grasp a word of what the angry white girl was saying to her. It was Rahul who intervened and told her in Hindi that she should not be supposed to sleep in the living room. He said to her that the living room was not a place for sleeping. She said to him that she was sorry, but she was tired and sleepy and could not help it. It is abundantly clear that Rahul's attitude towards the burqa girl has changed after seeing her without her demeaning niqab. His hate for Muslims seemed to have been displaced by thoughts of her on his bed. It will simply not do to kick her out now. How can he chase this most sexually appealing young woman of his dreams out of his life? How can he strike up a relationship with her or anything if she is deported? Somehow, the incessant ranting of his American girlfriend began to pierce his reverie, and he realized that she was still going on about how the unwanted burqa girl is blackening their couch with her filthy body. Rahul tried to placate Emily by saying that Amrita had fallen asleep in the living room unintentionally, and that she should not be so harsh on her. Emily refused to see his point of view, and reiterated her demand that she be thrown out of their apartment right away. Rahul told her that it would be improper and unfair to kick such a young homeless Indian girl out on the streets, when she has nowhere else to go and probably does not know the English language to survive on her own. The look on her Indian boyfriend's face, and his change of heart, is not lost to Emily. She guessed correctly that after he had seen the beautiful face and the exposed sexy body of the burqa girl, things may now change between them. Sensing no response from Rahul, she confronted him and delivered her ultimatum. You either throw this filthy, disgusting Paki female immigrant out of here, or I am going to leave for good. Rahul paused and then acquiesced, begging his not to be satisfied with anything less angry girlfriend for a grace period of 24 hours, so that he could make arrangements within the Indian community to house his incredibly beautiful female guest. Of course, his mind is working overtime on another plan altogether. Once Rahul has managed to get his girlfriend to calm down and allow Amrita to stay for another day in their apartment, he begins to push the limits to see how far he can go. He tried to convince his girlfriend to allow their female guest to sleep in the second bedroom occupied by her pet dog. Emily said that she would never allow anyone to take the place of her adorable doggy. She loves and values her lovely doggy too much to allow a dirty Paki girl to take over his living quarters, and makes it dirtier than a garbage container. When her Indian boyfriend felt uncomfortable about her racist words, she responded by saying that her dog may feel bad about being forced to sleep in the living room, and give up his bedroom to an unwanted burqa girl. Her boyfriend tried another angle and asked that Amrita be allowed to sleep in the living room. Once again, his white girlfriend sternly blocked that suggestion by saying that the Paki girl may dirty up their couch. Emily is not worried about the couch as much as she is worried about making the burqa girl too comfortable. If she becomes comfortable, she may not want to leave. With neither one willing to give in, a long argument ensued which culminated in the decision to allow the unwanted Muslim girl to sleep in their kitchen. Then the Indian boyfriend convinced the American girlfriend to allow the extremely beautiful burqa girl to have dinner in the kitchenette. Emily grudgingly agreed, again worrying about making their temporary, unwanted female guest too cozy. She agreed to serve the unwanted burqa girl some eggs on toast to eat and sleep on the solid floor of the kitchen. Emily cooked it with Rahul looking on and handed it over to her, as if Amrita is a miserable outcast female beggar. Chapter 39. The Muslim burqa-clad girl is suspected of terrorism. The American girlfriend Emily is now sure that her Indian boyfriend Rahul has a major crush on the Paki Muslim girl. Things began to change the moment he saw what she looked like under her demeaning black robe. She concluded that the burqa girl must have removed her ugly Islamic niqab to reveal her unmatchable beauty and sexy body to tempt her Hindu boyfriend. Before any further chemistry develops, she should have to put a stop to all this nonsense. After arriving at this conclusion, the white girl Emily has decided that her Indian boyfriend Rahul is not to be left alone with the dirty Paki temptress. They are now being observed discreetly. Rahul also thought that the Paki girl had removed her burqa and veil for his benefit. Of course, after she began to show such an overt interest in him, how could his white girlfriend agree to her staying in their apartment? He decided that the best way to work this problem out would be to buy some time for himself. He figured out he must smuggle the lovely Muslim girl from their apartment and keep her in a basement belonging to one of his Indian friends. His Indian friend had recently traveled to India and got married to an Indian bride and brought her back with him. The friend too used to have a white girlfriend before he ditched her to fulfill his duty as a faithful Indian son and stand by his parents' choice for him. Accordingly, Rahul decided to approach his Indian friend, telling him that he had found a nice Indian girl and decided to marry her. He planned to ask him to rent his basement to his new Indian girlfriend, and he will pay her rent. In the meantime, the white girlfriend Emily is also busy making plans. She has determined that the Paki girl and her boyfriend should remain separated forever. She already heard some stories from her American girlfriends that Indian boys are quite capable of having an interim girlfriend before being called back to India, only to return with an Indian bride in an arranged marriage. She does not want to be strung along after having become emotionally invested in a long-term relationship only to be dumped like a dump truck emptying its garbage. For that reason, she must not, from that night on, enjoy a restful night's sleep. She has to remain vigilant, watching her fiancé like a hawk, hoping her suspicions will bear just fruits. Every time Rahul went to the bathroom, she followed him and waited for him in the living room until he came out. Her excuse is that she too wanted to use the washroom. Many times, during the night, she visited the kitchen and checked on the Paki girl. She wanted to know whether the burqa girl was going to shed her ugly black cocoon and expose herself again to entice her future Indian husband. Strangely enough, she has always found the unwanted Muslima to be fully clothed in her black shell. The following morning, Emily feigned excessive menstrual pain and decided to stay home, as she could not sleep at all the previous night. She does not want to go to college because something in the back of her mind tells her that her Indian boyfriend may backtrack and try to sleep with the burqa girl. Rahul does not bother to compel Emily to go to the doctor or ask if he can get anything for her treatment from the pharmacy. He just said goodbyes and left. He is happy she did not come with him that day. Instead of going to his classes, he set about putting his secret plan into action. He headed directly to the Indian couple he had in mind and told them about the beautiful Indian girl who came to his apartment. He said that he wanted to break up with his white girlfriend and had decided to marry the lovely Indian girl who came by chance to his apartment. His excuse for ending his friendship with Emily: his Hindu mother refused to allow him to marry a promiscuous American girl who agreed to sleep with him before marriage. The couple welcomed his decision and promised to keep the Indian girl in their basement and do everything they could to see that their marriage would soon take place. With Rahul out of the picture, Emily understood that she has truly little time to get the Paki girl out of her apartment permanently. She went to the burqa girl, who was still sleeping on the floor of the kitchen, and woke her up. Then she took hold of her hand and dragged her to the bathroom. She showed her the tub and the soap. That was done, she opened the shower and filled the tub with water. Amrita Khan understood that the white wife of her male cousin wanted her to take a bath. She has not had a bath for 3 days. She was afraid that if she used the bathroom and had a bath without someone giving her permission, her cousin's white wife may not like another strange girl to use her tub. For that reason, she waited for someone in the house to ask her to take a bath. So, she becomes glad when her cousin's wife asks her to use her tub, so she can bathe herself and remove all the accumulated dirt from her body. After that, the cunning white girl Emily locked the unwanted burqa girl up inside the bathroom. She does not want the Paki girl to come out of the bathroom until she can carry out the next step of her secret plan. Then she went to the kitchen and began to search for something suspicious she may find in her small handbag and other luggage of the Paki girl. The first thing she discovered was Amrita Khan's passport with a different name from what she had told them. She read the name with great amazement, Aphrodite Krishna Khan. During her relationship with her Hindu boyfriend, Emily understands that those three names cannot be together in somebody's name, because Aphrodite is an English name, Krishna is a Hindu name, and Khan a Muslim name. She knows that neither a Hindu would use Khan, nor a Muslim would use Krishna. Her surprise mounted when she found the $65,000 in cash stashed in her belongings. She thought that a girl with such a huge amount of money would not agree to sleep one night on the grounds of their garage and another night on the solid floor of a kitchen unless she was a madwoman or criminal. Moreover, she knew no rational human being would stay more than 24 hours without food when she had $65,000 in her bag. Emily could only come up with three possibilities. First, the money is counterfeit. Second, the burqa girl is involved in drug trafficking. And third, the Paki girl is going to use the money to finance some terrorist plot. After making her hasty conclusion, Emily picked up the phone, immediately dialed 911, and reported to the police the possible terrorist activities in her apartment. Amrita Khan had already been imprisoned inside the bathroom before the police came. She took her bath and tried to come out, but she found the door was locked from the outside. She knocked on the door and called in Hindi for someone to come and let her out. But no one responded to her call. She sat for more than 1 hour inside the bathroom after she finished her bath. When the door is finally unlocked, Amrita is frightened to death when she sees the face of the person standing in front of the doorway. She expected to see the white face of her cousin's wife. Instead, she saw the face of a black person who had a body and face of a man, but the chest of a woman. If it is not for her huge boobs, Amrita would have mistaken the female police officer for a man. She has been freed from her temporary prison into a more permanent dungeon. Amrita began to shake with fear, and in her distraught state of mind thought that the huge black woman was a female burglar who had broken into the apartment and assaulted and murdered her cousin's wife, and was about to attack and kill her too. Her fear intensified when she saw 3 policemen, 2 other policewomen, and 1 large dog, which she thought was a lion. So instead of coming out, she retreated and began to cry out loud and call for help in Hindi. The huge policewoman went in after she took hold of her hand and dragged her out. When she was forcefully brought out, another cop placed 2 handcuffs on her hands. When they took her into the living room, Amrita saw her cousin's white wife sitting comfortably on one of the sofas. She talked to her in Hindi and begged her to tell those people who dragged her out of the bathroom and handcuffed her to free her hands because she had committed no crime. Emily ignored her tears and continued to watch the arrest of the burqa girl, as if she were watching a horror movie about a dangerous female terrorist. Chapter 40. A plot to murder a suspected Muslim terrorist girl in jail. The American cops waited until Rahul returned to his apartment. During their wait, they took the statement of his American girlfriend. Emily made up a big story about the so-called Muslim female terrorist. She added many things to her statement that is not true at all. She said the girl had come to their apartment and stayed with them although they had not known her before. She said further that someone in India gave her the address of her foreign boyfriend and told her to go there and meet him. But Emily said that her Indian boyfriend is a Hindu and this lying girl is a Muslim. Although they told her to go, she refused to leave. They tried to send her to a mosque, but the Imam was scared to take care of such an unknown and suspicious Muslim girl like this one. He was the one who advised them to hand her over to the police to deal with her. Additionally, Emily said the Muslim girl told them that her Muslim mother had been arrested in Berlin City on the day she was supposed to fly with her to America because she murdered her sister in India, stole her money and gold, and fled to Germany. She hired some Muslim terrorists to carry out the homicide of her only sister. When Rahul arrived at his apartment, he was terrified to see there were 6 police officers and a huge brute in his living room. He saw the lovely Amrita Khan kneeling on the floor while her hands were handcuffed behind her back. She is on bent knees and extremely petrified, as if she is praying to the devil to rescue her from her detainers. She is not wearing her ugly black burqa. She is in the same salwar and kameez that he saw her on the previous day, while she was lying half-naked on the couch. Although her face is unveiled, she appears to him as a different girl. She looked so frightened. Then his eyes saw his white girlfriend. She appeared calm and happy, her face gleaming with satisfaction. Before he can ask Emily to tell him what is going on, one of the police officers asks him what relationship he has with the suspected Muslim girl. He said that he knows nothing about her except that someone in India gave her his address. He also said that he is trying to help her find a shelter to go to. The police explained to him why they decided to detain her for further investigation, to lie about her real name, and the huge amount of money that had been found hidden in her bag. Rahul is shocked when he hears that the burqa girl is hiding $65,000 in her bags, and that her real name is not Amrita Khan, but Aphrodite Krishna Khan. He also could not believe that those 3 names could be combined to form the name of an Indian person. Therefore he doubted the innocence of the burqa girl, and in his heart, he thanked his gods that she is exposed at the right time, and arrested before she could get him and his girlfriend in some serious trouble with American law. After talking to Rahul, the cops dragged Amrita Khan to their police car outside. By this time, tens of people gathered in front of the apartment to watch the arrest of the so-called dangerous Muslim female terrorist. Emily requested the cops to take the luggage of the burqa girl. She said she was scared the Muslim girl might have some explosive device inside her bags. Although the police officers knew that their dog had not sniffed such dangerous things still, they agreed to take the suspected Indian girl and her luggage to their detention. In the third world, the most dangerous place for a detainee is the interrogation room. If a beautiful young girl like Amrita Khan can survive the beatings, gang rape, and violent extraction of the so-called truth by ruthless police interrogators, she can survive any kind of torture and abuse after that. However, in the first world, the most fatal place for the suspect is inside the prison itself. In Western countries, inmates detest 3 types of suspects. Those held for violence against women and children, criminal pedophiles, and terrorists. If it appears that the suspect is detained under the charges of domestic violence against women or child abuse, then he may be murdered by his jail inmates before the final date of his trial. Likewise, if the suspect is arrested under the charge of a terrorist plot, he or she may be strangled to death by one of his or her dorm inmates before coming to trial. To avoid premature judgment, such detainees are often placed in solitary confinement. Amrita Khan has been interrogated on the same day she is held in custody. The police used a female Hindi-speaking interpreter and questioned her on the charges and accusations of being a female terrorist or a female drug dealer, which Emily the complainant has lodged against her. Unfortunately, she is not able to give any justifiable answer to any of the questions she is asked. Her answers are vague and reveal that she is very childish and does not know what she is saying in many cases. Even an Indian girl who comes directly from a remote village in India to the States may talk better than her. For that reason, the police decided to detain her for further investigation. The investigation into her case led to official inquiries and requests from authorities in all cities she had previously lived in or visited for short periods, such as Mumbai, Asmara, Tehran, Zurich, London, Paris, Baroda, New Delhi, and Berlin. Through the Hindi female interpreter and the visas in her Indian passport, the American police came to know about the foreign and local cities the suspected Muslim girl had visited before arriving in the States. While the police are awaiting official reports from the FBI and overseas, Amrita is detained in a maximum security penitentiary. Most of the female detainees in that prison are dangerous female gangsters and notorious criminal women. Unfortunately, the police department in Cambridge has not kept the suspect Aphrodite Krishnakhan in a separate cell, but kept her in a dormitory crowded with streetwise repeat female offenders of the worst types. There is not a single female detainee in her dorm that can speak any of the languages that Amrita Khan understands. She can speak English but with a heavy Indian accent that made it difficult for her American guards and female inmates to understand. For that reason, she is treated with disdain and mockery. Some of the suspects hate her for her unmatchable beauty, and others for her racial background. Her life became subject to danger after one of the guards inadvertently blurted out why she was being detained. When some of the gangsters found out the Indian girl was a Muslima and arrested because she was planning to carry out a deadly terrorist attack on the city, they vowed to murder her before the final day of her trial. A ruthless leader of one of the American women's gangs determined she should kill her by strangling her while she was asleep at night. The dangerous leader happened to be a huge woman with a muscular build. She is a white woman originally from Colombia, but her gang included black, Mexican, and white women. She decided to suffocate her with a pillow and just sit on her. Oddly enough, she felt good about being able to uphold justice in a criminal justice system from the inside. She claimed that it is her divine calling to administrate vigilante justice against a dangerous enemy of her beloved country America. To make sure that no one can interfere to save the Muslim terrorist girl, the gang ringleader informed the dormitory inmates that no one should call the guards or try to stop her. The word is passed among the guards who are supposed to cover the night shift that she will kill their relatives on the outside if any one of them dared try and prevent her from killing the Indian terrorist. All the inmates in the dormitory lockup came to know the lovely Indian girl was going to be murdered during the night. Even so, none of the suspects and convicts dares to prevent a cold-blooded murderer of a suspected foreign girl. All the guards are made aware of the murder plot against the Indian girl. Likewise, none of them has the guts to do their job to protect the suspected victim. She should not remain innocent until proven guilty, but she must die before the investigation in her terrorist case has been finalized and brought before a judge to render his final verdict against her crime. The Muslim terrorist suspect, Aphrodite Krishnakhan, is the only one in the penitentiary who does not know that she is going to die in the middle of that night.